The arena fell silent as Korvath descended from the crimson sky, his obsidian scales catching the twin suns of Drakkar Prime. He was a war dragon, ancient, battle-scarred, and utterly untamable. For 3 centuries, he had carried no rider. Warriors from 100 worlds had tried to claim him, and 100 warriors had failed. The Drakkari Empire needed riders for their war dragons. Without them, the creatures were weapons without aim, power without purpose. But Korvath had rejected every candidate. He had thrown Krell warriors across mountains, singed Valorian knights with plasma breath, and crushed the pride of countless champions beneath his clawed feet. Today, another batch of hopefuls waited in the ceremonial grounds. Towering aliens in power armor, cybernetically enhanced soldiers, psionic masters who could bend steel with thought alone. And among them, almost invisible in the crowd, stood Lyra Vance. She was human, a species barely known in this corner of the galaxy. Small by galactic standards, with neither enhanced strength nor exotic abilities, she wore simple gray coveralls, the uniform of the medical corps. She shouldn't have been there at all. Why is a medic in the selection pool? Commander Thraken growled, his mandibles clicking with irritation. Clerical error, someone muttered. Send her away. But the ceremony had begun, and Drakkari law was absolute. Once gathered, all candidates must face the dragon. One by one, they approached. One by one, Korvath roared them back. A Krell berserker managed 3 steps before the dragon's tail sent him flying. A Valorian champion lasted 5 seconds before Korvath's psychic presence overwhelmed her mind. The crowd grew restless. Then came Lyra's turn. She walked forward slowly, her boots crunching on the scorched earth. She didn't carry weapons or wear armor. She carried only her medical kit, a battered satchel slung across her shoulder. Korvath's eyes, each the size of her head, fixed upon her. He lowered his massive skull, and a growl rumbled from his chest like distant thunder. The sound alone had shattered eardrums before. Lyra stopped 10 feet away. She didn't reach for him. She didn't speak words of challenge or dominance. Instead, she tilted her head and looked at him. Really looked. "You're hurt," she said quietly. The arena went silent. Warriors didn't acknowledge a dragon's pain. Pain was weakness, and war dragons knew no weakness. That was the doctrine. But Lyra saw what others had ignored. The way Korvath favored his left wing, the slight drag in his hindquarters, the old wounds that had healed poorly, leaving scales displaced and tissue inflamed beneath. 3 centuries of battle. 3 centuries of warriors who saw only a weapon, a mount, a prize to be claimed. No one had seen the dragon himself. Korvath's growl faltered. His massive head tilted, mirroring her gesture. Confusion rippled through his ancient mind. "May I?" Lyra asked, gesturing to her medical kit. The dragon didn't move. The crowd held its breath. Commander Thraken reached for his weapon. Certain this foolish human was about to be incinerated, Lyra took his stillness as permission. She approached slowly, each step deliberate and non-threatening. When she reached his left wing, she set down her kit and opened it with practiced efficiency. Her hands, so small against his scaled hide, touched the inflamed tissue where an old spear wound had never properly healed. Korvath flinched, but didn't pull away. "This must hurt when you fly," she murmured, more to herself than him. "The scar tissue is pulling wrong. And here." She moved to his hindquarters. "Nerve damage from a plasma burn. Probably 5 years old? 50 years, actually. But who was counting?" Lyra worked in silence. She applied regenerative gel to the old wounds, used a portable scanner to map the nerve damage, and gently manipulated the displaced scales back into proper alignment. The crowd watched in disbelief as this tiny human performed what amounted to field medicine on the most dangerous creature in the sector. "You've carried your pain alone for so long," Lyra said softly. "But you don't have to anymore." Something shifted in Korvath's ancient eyes. In 300 years, warriors had demanded his strength. They had tried to dominate him, control him, break him to their will. This human asked for nothing. She only offered When Lyra finished, she stepped back and closed her kit. That's better. But you'll need proper treatment in a medical facility. The nerve damage, especially, it can be repaired, but it'll take time. Corvath lowered himself to the ground, folding his legs beneath his massive bulk. Then, in a gesture that made the entire crowd gasp, he extended his wing, the injured one, and angled it downward like a ramp. An invitation. Lyra blinked in surprise. You want me to? The dragon rumbled softly. It wasn't a roar. It was something gentler. Patient. With trembling hands, Lyra gripped the scales and climbed. It should have been impossible. War dragons were notoriously difficult to mount. Their scales slick and perfectly smooth, but Corvath adjusted his wing, creating footholds, making it easy for her. When she reached the saddle ridge at the base of his neck, Corvath rose to his full height. Lyra grabbed the natural horn protrusions to steady herself, her heart pounding. I don't know how to ride a dragon, she admitted with a nervous laugh. The dragon's response rumbled through his body. Then I will teach you. It wasn't words, exactly. It was feeling, intention, transmitted through the neural connection that formed between dragon and rider. A bond that the Empire had tried to force for centuries, now forming naturally in seconds. Corvath launched himself into the sky, his wings beating with renewed vigor. The pain that had plagued him for decades was eased, and for the first time in memory, flight felt like freedom rather than duty. Below, Commander Thraken stared in shock. Impossible. But it wasn't impossible. It was simply human. Humans didn't see weapons or tools or resources. They saw individuals. They saw pain that needed healing, problems that needed solving, and beings that deserved compassion. In a galaxy of warriors, Lyra Vance had done what no warrior could. She had reached not for glory or conquest, but for another's suffering. And in doing so, she had claimed the unclaimed, bonded with the unbondable. As Corvath soared higher, Lyra laughed with pure joy, and the war dragon for the first time in 3 centuries felt something other than battle fury in his ancient heart. He felt chosen. Not claimed, but chosen. And that made all the difference.